If you are a frequent listener to the podcast, you know that we have been sponsored by Fuji Sports for quite some time now. Whether you're looking for apparel, equipment, bags, or accessories, Fuji Sports has got it covered. Go to fujisports.com to see the latest selection of everything you need for your Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, or MMA journey. That's fujisports.com. Let me take a minute to tell you about RŌL TV. If you're looking to take your Jiu-Jitsu to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or a more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This helps us bring you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. Today, Thomas and Rachel Nelson discuss her move to one of the most competition-focused academies in the world, how her stubbornness and goal-oriented mindset have helped her overcome obstacles, finding personal meaning in our journeys, and more. Here's the RŌL Radio with a military veteran, Doctor of Philosophy, Atos HQ team member, and first-degree black belt, Rachel Nelson.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Rachel Nelson in the house. Rachel, good afternoon. Good, yes, it is afternoon. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I see Jiu-Jitsu t-shirt. Is that
Yeah.
all the clothing that you have?
Let's be real. It's like 90% of the t-shirts, right? The free ones from IBJJF, we collect them. They're soft. They fit well.
I feel like that must be the case for, I think, most Jiu-Jitsu practitioners.
Yeah,
Either
for sure.
our closets are filled with gis or rush guards or Jiu-Jitsu t-shirts from competitions. Is that case for you?
It's true.
It's true. We come just right before we started recording. You said you fairly recently, got to Atos about 8 months ago or so. How has that been? Atos, arguably one of the biggest academies in the area, if not as far as association, tremendous footprint in Jiu-Jitsu community. How that experience has been so far?
Oh, it's been like, if I can like make a symbol out of that. Yeah, like the way that the classes are presented is very different than anywhere I have trained. They're much longer. It's a lot of technique and a lot of like navigating from one position to the other, focusing on like the in-between, the connecting bridges between movements and sweeps and everything, and things that I often think get overlooked, or at least in my game has been overlooked. You know, if you can't connect, you lose the position. If you can't do that in a tournament, you lose the match. So just the intricacies with the way a regular training is done and the availability for competition training every day if you want to, and the availability of like back-to-back classes. You can work as hard as you feel like. You can take classes all day long if you can handle it, but the ability for you, if you want to put in a ton of work and excel, it's the only place I have been that lets you do that if you so choose.
And we'll talk about your entire journey in a moment. We'll get to that. But I'm always intrigued by stories, life stories, when our journey takes a path, and we by choice or not, we are changing the environments where we train with so much passion. And you've done that. Just a few months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Made that switch. Was that decision difficult for you? Was arriving there? How was the selection point in your mind when the decision was being made?
Oh, it was like horribly difficult. Because I really love the gym that I came from.
Mhm.
I got out of the military, and the gym that I went to when I got out, I moved to Tampa. I wanted to train with Hobson Moore. So I moved right next to his gym, and I spent like the next decade like learning from him, hanging out with him every day and everything. And like you learn how to have a lot of heart over in his gym. And Hazana, big on the Hazana, the hanging out after class, and like
Mhm.
really like building bridges with people that turn into lifelong friends. And as life takes place, they hold your hand along the way and get you through the tough times, and you help each other out with those tough times too. But it was very difficult because of that, because my heart was at that gym, and my deepest friends that had helped me like transition out of the military and move on to the things I was moving on to. I ended up like getting a PhD during that time period. Like
Mhm.
a lot of things changed. Like religious beliefs. I had a whole like existential crisis when I got out. And like this gym, these people, just the regular anchoring of training there, like got me through so much and built me up. But when I got my black belt, I began noticing, I would go to compete and I would begin noticing there's not a lot of females competing. So I'm Master 3 right now, but what I noticed I would have to do is like scrap the Master 3 thing. If you want to compete as a female black belt, you might have to do adult. You might have
Mhm.
to. Maybe you got to go up a couple weight classes.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to accept whatever you can get and just like ignore your age, ignore your weight, and take a fight if you want to fight, or else you're just not going to fight. So when that happened, I found myself signing up for adult. And when I would find myself fighting in the adult division, I would lose, but I would notice, just perception wise, I it's not a physical reason that I'm losing. I'm not smoked. I don't feel weaker. My strategy is wrong, or I don't have the answers to certain things that are going on in the match. So I started to wonder to myself, like, okay, I feel that it's not my body. I feel like I'm missing certain points of the technique or certain strategies that I'm not knowledgeable of, that I need to implement to do better, right? Maybe not just go in there and cream everybody in the adult division, but in order to be difficult to fight, regardless of the division, I felt I was missing something. So that sort of sparked this new like goal and desire to, be a pain in the ass in any division. The biggest pain in the ass I can possibly be. I started sniffing out like new potential in me, right? There's this new potential. And the goal is to just be as difficult to kill and not easy to kill,
Yeah.
regardless of what I sign up for.
I'm
And
laughing because I tell my students, just be annoying. Just be really
mhm,
annoying.
mhm.
Whatever that means to you,
Yeah.
creating these obstacles. But listen, as I'm listening to you, you're describing something that a lot of people miss in life in general. And I'm not even talking about jiu-jitsu, just life.
Mhm.
The fact of the ability to acknowledge that we are not as good as we want to be, and there is more work to be completed
Yeah.
in order to get there.
Mhm.
Why is it so difficult for us as humans to have that acknowledgement? I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. From one side, like we, I see that, riding a bike is hard, so I need to practice it. And, doing jiu-jitsu is difficult.
Yeah.
I need to show up more. I need to really think about this. I need to
Mhm.
stop just messing around. But yet, it's not. So many
Mhm.
struggle with that.
So for jiu-jitsu, like my personal opinion is I think especially in the masters divisions, and maybe because we have masters divisions this has done this. But I believe the first thing that people go to is to why they can't try to tap into more potential or get better or give themselves like a higher goal that's like just out of reach,
Mm-hmm.
is they'll go to their age first. They'll say, I'm too old to do this. The time has passed. I can't, add volume to my training. There's no point to it. My body hurts. I
Mm-hmm.
can't dedicate more time. I've got kids. I've got this job, and like, I don't want to say that it's all an excuse, but I think if you got rid of that reason as being your first reason as to why you can't, try and find what more is inside of you, is because the first thing we go to is that, instead of why did I lose? why am I losing this position? Why am I not getting to my goals? Like, find a way to fix the problem and do that. And like, maybe you are too old, but don't even blame that as the first reason. Because again, like, we have this potential inside of us, like, certainly you can grow. Certainly you can grow and you will be better. Getting to the goal or not getting to the goal. You're going to, I mean, even outside of jiu-jitsu, like, it's going to require you to embody a lot of like brilliant characteristics that I think humans have, like the ability to have faith that you will grow into something, perseverance, patience in order to let yourself fail and fail and fail in order to grow and grow and grow. Like, all these things become required of you the second that you decide it's not your age. Therefore, there's not really this limitation holding you back, and you can actually try and fix things and think about, like, what can I do to get better? And maybe
Is
it doesn't
that
look the same as a 20-year-old, but like, figure it out, you know?
well? It doesn't. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. It doesn't look the same thing. The life in our 40s is not the same as life in 20s. Like, training jiu-jitsu, at 40 is not the same as training jiu-jitsu at 20. I mean, we've both been there in from that perspective, right? As we age, one, wear and tear, but two, we move differently. Our brains work differently. Would you agree with that?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Only
Tell
from
me.
my own experience. My
Oh,
own
absolutely.
experience.
That's why we're
So,
talking.
like, I feel like maybe I've lived life in reverse a little bit.
Okay.
Because I started out in the military where you work like 12 to 14-hour night shifts, and then you keep deploying over and over again every 6 months. And the frequency that I was able to train was not that great then, due to work and due to like times of work and frequent deployments, just not being able to train because you're doing other things somewhere else. And when I got out of the military, I was going to school and I was training more then, but I have recently like graduated in the last couple of years and then taken on this like task to figure out like, how do I get better to aim for these goals. And what I've noticed is that you can build your capacity back up, and a lot of the aches and pains and everything that I had. And like, let me tell you, I've had a lot of injuries, right? Like, as a 41-year-old should, right? That was in the military and doing jiu-jitsu, and like, it did MMA before that and everything. Surgeries on both knees, my collarbones like higher on one side because I fell on my shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Like, not being able to move your arm for 9 months because your neck is all messed up and you've got bulging discs and like you can't train for 9 months and like you don't want neck surgery and you're like hoping everything heals. But what I have learned by reaching out to people that are experts in their field is that I have a lot of accumulated injuries, right? Caused by a lot of imbalances. And if I get a hold of the right professionals that are knowledgeable in these areas, when I fix a lot of the imbalances, a lot of the problems go away. Does it mean I don't have a bulging disc anymore? No. But the volume that I'm training at now, I would say is on par to if I was like a 25-year-old again. But do I have to do things like mobility every day, stretching after? Yes, absolutely. Do I have to eat right? Yes. Do I have to sleep right? Absolutely. But I can do those things now, and I could not before. Now, mind you, I don't have kids, right? And like I said, like, for me, my life is like lived in reverse. I started out with this career, and then I let it go for jiu-jitsu, and then found myself in like an academic situation for a while. And then my academic situation, I could talk about that later, but me living out my philosophy is me going after these goals that I have
Do you
now.
do you feel like you missed out on life in some sense
In
because
some
of the
ways, yes. Like, I think that like I have like an unquenched like thirst. Like, I
yeah.
didn't do what I wanted to do or what I
Do you
yearned to do back then.
do you in a way feel guilty in a sense that life is passing by and clock is ticking and you haven't done the things that you wanted because you devoted so much attention to your
Not
profession?
guilty. Not
No?
guilty. I actually I think it makes it more unique, and
Yeah.
I think I like being put in this situation instead because I'm able to show myself like the limited thinking that I have, and this is allowing me, first of all, by even throwing yourself into the adult division, to realize like, oh, I'm not smoked. Oh, I don't feel weaker. Like, number one, you're not falling apart the way you think you're falling apart. Maybe in some ways, but it's not as extreme as you think. And number two, can we find a way to basically, bridge a gap for the lost time, right? So we need to increase the volume, find the holes in the game, like find the sticking points that need to be like smoothed over in order to be that pain in the ass on the mat, regardless of whatever division that you're in. And then like, what can that look like? And like, so far, I'm seeing like, I can train for 4 hours straight. I can do that. It took me 8 months to build that capacity, and I'm not saying that everyone could do that, but I'm saying that I do think if you really want to, you can do a lot more. And like something else that I've looked at too is like these crazy guys that like they're like 65 on Mount Everest and they're just trucking along, enduring way more than I feel like spending time on the mat you have to endure, like mentally and physically. But I think up here they're not thinking about their age the way that we do either. They're not going, oh, like I'm master 3, I wasn't able to climb this mountain, so I guess it's just long gone. Like they'll try and a decade later they finally do the thing that they've been trying to do. So I just think perseverance, patience, and being willing to figure out how to grow to accomplish the things you want to.
Have you always been like this? Very goal-driven, very stubborn in a way, very focused.
I think it's become of me as time has gone on. I think I don't want to say I wasn't that way, but I feel like obviously as time goes on, you become more of what's inside you. You unearth like the flower that you are. You begin to blossom.
Yeah. Let's pivot this a little bit.
Okay.
How did this all start? When was the first time you stepped on a mat? What was your first experience?
First time I stepped on the mat. If we walk it back a little bit, I was getting back from my first deployment to Iraq, and like when I was a little Rach, I did Taekwondo, like all the other, like many others, right? It's so niche to say, right? I was another child black belt, kicking people with my little shin pads on and my headgear and everything. But I wanted to fight then, and that's why I did it. I asked to do that. So I think something in me, and I think this is true for other people too. If you're like a small child and you want to do any sort of contact sport, I think, that energy is in you as a fighter, and it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to be required to, embody that in some form, like down the road, or it's going to nag you, and you're going to suffer a bit on the inside for not being able to fully express this energy that you are. But I got back from Iraq and I had been thinking to myself, I think I really want to do MMA. And so I had reached out to a gym whenever we got back to our base in America. I was at Ellsworth Air Force Base at the time, and that's in Rapid City, South Dakota. So good old Midwest. And the gym selection there, a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. I ended up at this place called the Iron Wolf Gym, and it wasn't the best gym. It's shut down now because it didn't do well, and like the way they handled business there wasn't good. Like people would be drunk and teaching class, and like a lot of people would be like coming from prison. I didn't know any better because it was my first gym. I just thought this is like maybe how fighters are or something. I didn't understand like levels of quality yet, so it wasn't that weird to me. It really should have been weird. It wasn't. So I showed up there, and that was the first time that I was on the mat, like doing no-gi with them, boxing classes, learning how to like kick and punch and all that stuff.
Why MMA? Where is this coming from?
I don't even know. I just remember thinking
did you
like
watch
I want to
UFC?
fight.
Did you like?
I've seen the UFC. I've seen the UFC, but I wouldn't necessarily say I was inspired to do MMA because of that.
Well,
I just remember.
So where's the seed? Where's this starting?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
I just wanted to fight. I blame it on Taekwondo, and then I blame it on just maybe only knowing MMA. Just going, that's where you go if you want to fight as an adult.
I see. Okay.
I wasn't going back to Taekwondo as an adult.
How serious was this thought? How serious was this thought? I mean, are you thinking like, I want to be a world champion? Be on TV?
I was like, I'm going to fight. I'm going to like go be professional. I want to take it seriously. I want to be the best fighter that I can be. And then that's what I started to try to do. And it became difficult because of the military, because I was security forces, so like it's like the military police except in the Air Force. It's a little different, right? It's like military police, but with anything that needs securing and anything that is like infantry work on top of that. So you turn into like jack of all trades, master of none, always deployed.
I assume when you deployed, you're not training, or are you?
I did, but you had to put
Oh.
it together yourself. And it wasn't smart at all times, right? So like for a good example of a nice safe one would be like after Iraq, my next deployment was Kuwait. That's a pretty well established like air base there. Like nothing crazy is going on. I wasn't doing anything crazy. And they have like fitness centers where they have like classes. And me and this guy named Will, he was a kickboxing instructor. So we got together and we went over to the fitness center and said we want to like, offer kickboxing together. So we were going to teach this class. He'd be the main instructor. I'd be like the little, helper or whatnot. And people would come. And so you'd have people to spar, but also people to teach that have never done anything, And me and my friend Amber Monsky, she also did MMA. She was on that deployment with me, so we were able to train together the best we could and just try and keep up with our fitness, keep up with your training the best that you can. Now with that, there's some weird situations that happen, and like some of them, like not the best thing to tell, but I remember one time Will was late. He was doing something at work. I said, no problem. The people start coming in for the class. And there's this guy who had a problem with females, like teaching, especially like fighting things. And he was not doing anything I was saying. Is just setting up the class, trying to organize everybody and get them going. And like, he was just being an asshole. So I was like, what's your problem? And then he told me he's not going to listen to anything that I'm saying. And then it turned into like a thing. And I'm not proud of this, but we ended up in a fight because I needed to exert my dominance, right? This is what I wouldn't do anything now that I did then. This is just what happened with young Rachel. And we ended up fighting in front of the whole class while they just like watched, like, and I beat the shit out of him. He was against the wall and I was punching, hitting him in the face. His nose like exploded and there was blood everywhere and people are just like letting it happen. I think, like, not like a mad enforcer thing, but how there's some things that are a little violent, but like the fighting context is this kind of needs to happen right now in order to put things back in order. So it was like that. And eventually he like dropped to the ground and then I let him be. I backed up. And then he listened to everything I said after that. And then Will came in and was like, what the fuck is going on? And then he pulled the guy aside. This is what happens
when I miss a few minutes.
He pulled the guy aside and he was like, why would you do that to people that are fighters? Like, why would you treat a fighter that way? She's doing like MMA. That's stupid. Why would you talk? Like, what did you think was going to happen? But...
So I'm actually curious. Any consequences behind this? I mean, this is happening on base, right?
Mm-hmm. Not one. It stayed in that little place that we were in that shed.
Wow.
And like
whatever happened in the room stayed in the room.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know if it's because people liked me, so it wasn't weird, and it was just like, let this happen. I don't know, but I did not get in trouble.
Well, good for you, I guess.
Good for me. Yeah.
So all this continues on. When are you first gearing up in the gi? You continue doing MMA and when do you come across the gi part?
So I was in Rapid City for like 6 years. The Ironwood gym closed down. I moved gyms. I went over to a place called Dynamic Martial Arts, which is also now like shut down. And I put on a gi over there, but I was still doing like MMA, and I became a part of like the Muay Thai team too. And so we were like traveling, doing some Muay Thai matches in like Vegas and coming back and everything. And then I put in for orders to go to Moody Air Force Base in Georgia for a special assignment at this place called the A20th. It's like a little subdivision of security forces that doesn't deal with law enforcement. They're not doing security. It's like all infantry stuff. Now, the perk to this is you get rid of the 12-hour shifts. it's no more shift work. You're on like a 9 to 5 schedule basically, and your goal is to show up in the morning and you do your training for, like deployment training basically. And then you go home. So a nice steady schedule, no more crazy things, no more staying up all night long. So I thought to myself, this is going to be so good because now I'll have like a regular schedule and I'll be able to train more regularly. So I put in for this thing. I get it. We're going to Moody Air Force Base. We deploy a couple more times. I go to Moody Air Force Base, Georgia. It's in Valdosta. I don't know if you heard of that place or not. Valdosta, they sell peanuts and they got a university over there. Other than that, you're just in the South and that's it. There's no reason for you to be there.
Not a lot of activity.
So, yeah. So I show up, I look around and I start trying to find places to train and I'm like, oh no, I've made a mistake. Like, this is bad. Like, schedule's better, but like, where am I going to train? I go try to find a gym. I walk in, it's like guys in wife beaters, and they're like, we never had a girl around here before. And again, I'm like, I have ruined it. And I don't know if you know Shayna Baszler, like she doesn't fight anymore. She's doing WWE stuff, but I met her when I was in South Dakota and I needed some help. So I messaged her and I said, Shayna, I think I fucked up. I think like I should not have come here. I was better off in South Dakota now. And I'm like, these guys are like, we've never seen a girl before and I don't know what to do. She tells me, calm down, just try and find like a boxing gym. I can't find a boxing gym. But I start expanding my search like further and further away from Valdosta. And I find an alliance in Tallahassee. So I go, okay, well, there's no MMA there, but like I know that it's good quality jiu-jitsu. I've heard of Alliance, like let me go there. It's like a 2-hour drive.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. There's nothing like that. There's nothing close.
You're not kidding when you say you widen the search.
Yes. So I drive after work from Valdosta to Tallahassee to Felipe Nato's gym at Alliance. And I walk in and I remember there's this girl, her name was Tessie. And I'm 5'3", and she was like a little bit shorter than me and like much skinnier. Not now. She's like a strong woman now, like literally like lifting like, stuff over the shoulder and like, but then she was maybe like 105 pounds. And I remember he paired me with her. And I thought in my MMA brain, I am going to like totally destroy her. Like, I'm just going to. And what happened was she armbarred me in 10 seconds instead. And I thought to myself at that moment, like, I don't think I've been learning really good jiu-jitsu. I think the MMA stuff is, the jiu-jitsu kind of got lost and watered down somewhere in there. And we weren't doing things like spider guard and like all these other guards that have a lot of like grips and things that you can do. The whole wide world of every guard possible with grips and lapels and everything. I didn't know what was going on. And I said to myself, okay, well, this is 2 hours away from where I live. And the goal was MMA. And I had like a few fights already. And like, I came here so I could catch some more fights on the East Coast and go pro. But, the context is what the context is right now. And I see I'm not as good as I think with jiu-jitsu. So what would be better? To be like so sharp and so excellent at Brazilian jiu-jitsu that like, it's just incredible, or to be kind of good and kind of okay at a lot of things in MMA. And then given the gym selection that was available, just, I don't know how well that was going to do me. And at that moment, I chose to go to Tallahassee and just take the drive instead and just go pure jiu-jitsu.
So wait a minute. How often do you train at that point?
Oh, let's see. So I was in Rapid City for 6 years. I probably started doing MMA like a year after I got there. So like 5 years in.
5 years in. And
yeah,
how often
as a wipeout.
How often do you make the drive?
I would go 3 or 4 times a week. 3 or 4.
Oh, holy shit. Hold on. Wait a minute.
I know.
So,
yeah.
4 times a week, you drive 4 hours. And how long is the training session?
I would stay for kickboxing afterwards too, whenever they had it. So like hour class and then another hour kickboxing.
So 2 hours of training and 4 hours in the car.
Yeah.
Are you insane?
Yeah. At the time, yes. I mean, I'm still insane, I think, too. But
Some
but
things don't change, right?
but if you want slick jiu-jitsu, you know, you need to go somewhere that is going to teach you the good stuff. And to
I mean,
get the
I'm
wife
thinking.
beater situation was not.
Well, that on its own might be a reason
Yeah.
not to look elsewhere. But and I'm just trying to think about this in a broader way. I mean, I don't know many people who would make that kind of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You're right. You're right.
it takes a different human to say, I'm going to spend double of the time in a car that I'm training in order for me to get this because I see value behind this. I mean, many people today try to justify how to show up once a week or twice a week sometimes, like,
Yeah.
you know, in a very casual way of training. And you're talking about being very serious about this. And that drive really kind of puts a lot of pressure on this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Has it ever crossed your mind, like, this is way too much, I'm completely out of my mind?
No.
Like, I would rather sit and watch TV or read a
No,
book
because I wouldn't. That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't. Like, everything I do, like, even at work, it's like, you know, you're thinking jujitsu in the back of your mind.
Oh,
You're making up
believe me.
moves that, like, may not work, but, like, you can't stop, like, thinking about them.
I was just telling some of my students the other day, it was like, you know, you're on a treadmill and you're running, and then you fell off the treadmill because you were thinking about jiu-jitsu, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to process this. I don't know many people who would do this.
Like, to me, it's not crazy. But I know I've told people before, like, when they want to try it, like, I would tell them, like, I drive 2 hours. You don't need to do that. You can do something more local. But, like, I just always saw myself, even if I wasn't, like, a professional that's on TV, like, you know, kicking butt and getting money and, like, people know who I am. In here, I'm still this way. Like, I feel like I'm a professional and we're doing this and we're going to be excellent at it.
Where is this coming from?
Like, I don't know.
What is the source of this? Because this is very intriguing to me. And we didn't even get to your PhD. I mean, that's an effort of its own.
I know. It's the stubbornness. It's the same deal.
Yeah. Is it? You're just stubborn?
The reason you succeed is because you're stubborn.
Well,
you're stubborn enough to keep going no matter what.
Or you're just too stupid to quit. Like, just keep showing up, right? Like, it all, there's, do you think that we need to be that stubborn in jiu-jitsu? Like, in a sense of long-term training, and I'm not talking about intensity. I'm talking about the length of training, achieving that black belt level, and continue on through, you know, after that point. I mean, we're talking about more than a decade for many, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can do it without being stubborn, because you're gonna get injured. You're gonna be told that you're doing things incorrect all the time. You're gonna think you're doing it right, then someone's gonna show you that you're not that right after all. You know, like, I don't know anybody at any point of training that goes into train and just feels like their jiu-jitsu is so excellent all the time. You feel high one day and the next day, like, the things that were working are not working anymore. It's always
well,
and
I mean,
the
moment we acknowledge that we have nothing to learn, then purpose kind of disappears, right? I mean, that's life in general, right?
Or that you're not interested in finding something to learn.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Is that what it is? Being interested, in a sense, finding things to learn versus just taking it for granted?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like that with everything, though, and not just jiu-jitsu, right? Like, do you think there's something interesting in here that you can grow from, that you can see? Can you find the beauty in things? Can you find a mystery in something? Can you find... I like to say, like, especially with jiu-jitsu, I like to see moves that I can't see yet. Like, try and find a move.
Elaborate on that.
Like, for example, I have been working on a smash pass from inside people's closed guards for like 1.5 years now. And, like, I like to try and imagine different ways to move my body that people don't move their body in. And I think, if I do this, what might happen? What kind of pressure can I create? What kind of angles could I create? And, like, what could I do with that? Like, is there something in here that isn't seen yet, but I could kind of, like, find it? And if I did, can I make it work? And if it works, well, that's something special now, right? Because not that it's unique, but it will be unique if you can just find what isn't found yet. I don't even know if that makes sense.
No, absolutely, it does. It's just I'm trying to put this in a perspective for those who perhaps they're just starting the jiu-jitsu journey. Maybe they last month or last week or maybe today they're just thinking about this. And you are talking about very deep stuff. You're talking about dissecting things on a very minimal level, like going deep and heavy into things that are not seen, like let alone comprehending this.
Yeah.
Many would consider it's like, why the hell would I do that? I mean, that's way too much work. Like I just want to roll. I just want to have fun. What do you say to that? Does it
for
have to be
me,
that
I
serious?
know I'm curious. Like I'm curious, like what I could find. I'm curious if I can make something work, if I can find the right thing inside of it to like make a move work that isn't working. And like that's interesting to me.
Would you say that being curious and being stubborn are those two components that really keep us going?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Is that why people quit? Because they get bored, or they are unwilling to find the...
I think it could be a lot of things, right? Like number one, you actually don't have an interest in it or a curiosity in it. And so it's not worth it to you. Maybe you get hurt too, and you're like, I don't need to get hurt.
So hold on. So let me challenge that for a second. So you lost interest. Did you lose interest because you were not curious enough, or did you lose interest because you're not interested?
Again, I think layered, right? I think it could be a layered thing. Yeah. Maybe you lose interest because you don't like losing all the time. Maybe you lose interest because maybe you're a female and you got roughed up in the white belt class that happened to be a bunch of like crazy large males going crazy and you didn't like that experience. Therefore, it's just that's not worth the effort anymore. Maybe it's you just don't have time in your day. And I know the argument is like we can always make time for the things that we love. Well, maybe you didn't love it, so you're not going to make time in your day.
Right,
but I think there could be infinite reasons that like people's curiosities didn't get tapped into soon enough.
What kept you going then? Why are you still here then? Because it seems like there was many reasons to not to do this, and we haven't even gotten deep into your journey. But like so far, Rachel could have been like, fuck this. This is way too much work. What kept you going then?
I think it's just how I see myself. I see myself as someone that can be excellent at this. And in a way, I see myself as like the professional, and I'm not going to stop. And I'm going to keep going until like whatever vision I have inside of myself is displaying itself on the outside. And that's why I still have these goals now. Like I know that there's more potential. And when I watch myself roll, in my mind, there is a certain way that I want to see myself rolling. A certain like, I'll just say the word like excellence again. Whatever you want that to be. Like just a way to move, a way to like not get caught in things, And I see this in my mind for myself, but it's not presenting itself yet on the outside. But I know that I can, massage that out of me to where I'll be able to see it.
Do you drive for perfection?
Yes and no. It depends.
What does that mean?
It depends on certain things I do. With jiu-jitsu, I do. Perfection being like knowing that in most cases, you can figure things out if you're willing to be patient. And like, we can talk about the curiosity thing too. Maybe the curiosity, patience and curiosity. And I can be a perfectionist knowing that I need to do certain things in order to get these qualities out of myself that I want. But in other things, I don't think I'm a perfectionist in. It's just mainly jiu-jitsu.
So even if we take just jiu-jitsu under consideration and you drive for perfection, but a moment ago we both agreed that everybody will tell us that we do things wrong. We will make errors constantly. Those errors allow us to grow, but by definition of that, we are not getting perfect. And
No, but you will. This is where the stubbornness happens, right? So, like, okay, like if you think about a PhD, we can relate jiu-jitsu to a PhD. Like, it's said that the only reason people complete the PhD is because they're stubborn enough and curious enough about this one tiny question and this one tiny answer that a whole universe sits under in order to be told this is wrong. So, in order to spend like, sometimes you could spend months writing a whole chapter, like 50 pages on something, and then the supervisor will go, this is shit, this is wrong, go back and write the whole thing, or throw it out. It's not going to make it in the PhD, right? And I feel like a lot of the time, like with the PhD, you're supposed to present this like perfect thing, and at the same time to accept that it's not perfect, because there's still going to be errors inside. Like, there's typing errors in my finished PhD because it's so big and so enormous. It's impossible for everyone to catch everything. And in the same way with jiu-jitsu, like the endless journey, right? Like everything's never actually perfect. But you do aim for a deep understanding. You want the excellence in your game. You want to fill the holes. You want to know what you're doing is wrong. Even if you're being told that it's wrong 100 times until you finally start like remembering where to put the hand, where to shift the body in order to make the move work. You grow in excellence, but maybe never reach excellence. But for sure, you're headed towards like something more excellent than what you are, but there's never a finish line.
do you feel that you'll ever achieve that point of excellence and perfection in a sense?
Like a finish line of excellence?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Or is this a more infinite game? So you acknowledge to yourself essentially that you're chasing something that you will never get, yet you're unwilling to give up.
And at the same time, you're already getting it. Because I'm better than I was a year ago. I don't have the same holes that I did a year ago.
So, Rachel, if this is so simple, how come everybody else doesn't think that way? Why is this so complicated for many people? Why? I mean, I'm not even talking about jiu-jitsu. I'm just talking about simplicity of life. Like, you know, let's just get better. Let's just be good humans. Let's just improve ourselves. You know, as we continue aging, as we continue going through life, like only certain thing in life is that will expire one day. That's the only certain. And yes,
for sure.
like why chase this shiny object that we will never get?
Well, so a part of my research deals with like the meaning, personal meaning for things, right? And everybody, we live in a subjective world, and there's good reason, good things that come from everybody being subjective. But a part of that subjectivity is like, you're going to have very unique things that are meaningful to you in very unique ways. And for some people, jiu-jitsu is going to be a part of that. And the reason why people go after it, it will never be the same as mine. And yours isn't the same as mine. And no person's going to share the exact same like sense of meaning that creates the desire to go for, you know, unperfected perfection, the journey that you just can't, there's not the finish line. And I feel like maybe not everybody has that, and some people do. And if jiu-jitsu's for you, and it's a part of that unique meaning that it calls to you, for your very own sense of unique meaning that it calls to you, you'll embark and you won't stop. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. There would be something else, another sense of like meaning that you would get from something, right? And it's not even that like we all just have like one sense of unique meaning. Like there's many in life, right? But you are almost like compelled to do the things that you find uniquely meaningful to you. And it's because I think you're supposed to. It's a part of this unique journey that everyone, when you try to explain to them why you do the things that you do, why you're obsessed over what you're obsessed over, why not quit? That's dumb. That's silly. You know, you're too young, you're too old, you're too small, you're too big. You have this other thing that's working out. Why would you? Like, you're supposed to have that subjective, like headbutt with people, because now you're forced to embody those beautiful qualities that we have inside of us of like, courage, knowing your self-worth so you can say yes to those things, because you wouldn't dare. If you think you're a piece of shit, then you think like the things that you find meaning in are not worth doing anyways.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have a sense of like inner freedom either, like you don't think that you're free to choose different things, make different choices, think different thoughts than other people, you also will not choose to take yourself up on the things you find
Absolutely.
meaningful.
Absolutely.
So like in that way, it is a mystery that I don't have an answer for, but I do know through like psychological clinical observations and like philosophy and existentialism and like even research into people's near-death experiences. I know we just went super deep with this one, but like one of the unifying themes of all that is like you are, I'll say, required as a human being. You come here with these things that are going to be like so meaningful to you and so uniquely meaningful that you will suffer if you don't follow them in different degrees. You will suffer because like you're being asked to embody courage, to embody self-worth, to embody this like the fabric of freedom, as they would say in like existentialism. Like the very fibers of you are free. I can never control what you think. I can't control if you choose to like move your pinky up and down right now. There's a lot of autonomy that you have in your freedom, the freedom to choose the things that are meaningful. If you don't do that, it's like you're like backfiring on your own being almost. So then you don't get to experience courage, perseverance, patience, and all these things that will make us feel truly alive and give us a sense of well-being along the way. So in a long way, that's the answer.
Deep.
Mm-hmm.
That was deep. So as this courage is embodied into us, and as we make all these choices, as we embrace the stubbornness, and we continue going through this journey, what was your feeling when you got your black belt?
Rapture. Yeah, like I've arrived. This is amazing.
Is
Yeah,
that a point
I
of
arrived at black belt. That's the only.
is that a point of satisfaction for you in the sense of that you achieve a milestone towards that perfection, or is that a sign of perfection in a sense?
I feel like it's a recognition of a culmination of like feelings throughout the years and desires and strivings and like a recognition of all the things that you've had to embody along the way.
Did you know it was coming or no?
I had a feeling.
You had a feeling? What
Mhm.
what was the feeling?
Well, one day Hobson told me in competition class that like something changed in me. Like I was moving like differently, right? Like as if like the way he worded it was like a switch had flipped, you know, as if I had turned the page suddenly. Even though I didn't know it, he's like telling me like, you know, like you know, you're different now. Yeah. And so I felt it coming from there. And like I knew it was roundabout my time too. Wasn't too soon, wasn't sandbagging. So, you know, there's clues.
Did you feel ready? Do you anticipate this? What
Yes,
what's going
yes and
what's
no.
going
Yeah,
what does
if I
that mean, yes
didn't
or
get
no?
it, I wouldn't be like, no way, you know. But I felt like it can be time. If I have a black belt on my waist, I feel like I'm ready for this and it's time.
Walk me through that moment when your name gets called and the ultimately that rank that many look up to,
Mm-hmm.
many treat as a symbol of knowledge, right, and
Mm-hmm.
wisdom. Your name gets called and you come up. What's going through
Oh,
your mind?
well, we had a whole thing like I knew at that point. So it wasn't like I'm sitting and I have no idea and then he calls it up,
Okay,
right? Like a
okay,
list comes out beforehand
okay,
and you know you got to give the speech. So I had done something real special for this one.
okay.
And I wanted it to be a little different, a little more special. We had a great women's team that we had started, small but mighty. And we had a peacock we had made to be our symbol
Okay.
of our women's team. And why the peacock? Well, peacocks, they look weird as shit, and they're really awkward, right? They walk weird, they sound weird, they're like ah when they make noises. And they're like kind of big, right? Like you see it and you're like, oh, it's kind of scary too. It's weird and scary, but they're beautiful too. They have these wonderful hues, and these feathers are like awesome, and they're like symbols, in different places and different religions and everything. It's like all kinds of like wonderful symbology.
I gotta ask you, like, who came up with that idea? Is this a group effort, or this is just you saying, no, we're gonna have a peacock. Peacock is gonna be our mascot.
Yeah. So what would happen at the end of a women's class is we decided we were going to sit in a circle, and we would put our hands in the middle of the circle, and we like rub our hands on the ground like it's like a weird ritual, and we're like mixing ourselves together, symbolic of all of us, working together and putting our energy together to become something better, and as unity, right? And then on the count of 3, we do the sound of the peacock. When we do the sound of the peacock, it's symbolizing, that everybody is weird but beautiful. So we're rubbing our hands, and on the count of 3, we're gonna do the sound of the peacock. 1, 2, 3. Ah! The sound of a peacock. And that is what we did at the end of every women's class. So we've got this symbol of the peacock. We made up a myth for her too. She lives in the ceiling of Hobson's gym at HQ and watches over all the women as they do their training. And she survives on cobwebs. So there's that. It's very strange, but this is us.
No, this is deep. I like this.
Yeah.
This is so. I mean, there's a lot of thought behind this. So okay, so go back to your black belt, right? So you did something unique.
What we did was I got this scroll too that I wrote this like poem out on, and we got a treasure chest, and we put the scroll in the treasure chest, and I was gonna have the people from the women's team, whenever I got called up, like walk out with the treasure chest, like I don't know, ancient Egyptian style, right? Like holding it and like walking it out all special, and then someone comes up and like pulls the treasure chest open, removes the giant scroll, and hands it to me, and then it like drops down, and I had this this huge poem just about how thanking everybody, basically, people for smashing me, a little bit of their like smashing power like grows in me and lives in me, kind of, and people that are fast, appreciating the people that are able to pass my guard, and like their quickness is like a part of my quickness now, and making fun of our assistant professor Rodrigo a little bit because he's not Hobson, but and just doing a little teasing in there, and then just good appreciation with that concept, that every time someone smashed me or passed my guard, that does become a part of me. It's a learning point and like a strength that I get to have also, and I feel appreciative for that, for everyone that makes me in that moment as a black belt that I am right now. I needed to have people pressure past me. I needed to have people, fly around me, neon belly, quickly armbar me. I needed all these different types of people, the big ones and the small ones, the youngest ones, the oldest ones, like everyone investing in me, every single role that brings me to that point where there I am with this treasure chest now, and this scroll, and the peacock is with us, and I am a culmination of everyone else's efforts too, and their curiosity that kept them going that whole time.
Is that how you look at Jiu-Jitsu journey in general? It is this mutual contribution, and you become bits and pieces of everybody who has crossed your path in the past, and that allows you to grow and become who you are today.
Or those bits and pieces help you find your bits and pieces. Like you become you from them becoming them. And you get to become your own unique black belt as everybody else, feeds you their uniqueness too, from their unique journeys and their unique styles. And, everything is unique in Jiu-Jitsu. Everyone's doing everything that, that they find meaningful to them. They're passing in the ways that, they feel called to pass. doing, not everybody's gonna pressure pass you. Everyone like has like their move. And that move like called to them, right? Moves are like cats, right? Like it shows up and it picks you and you like it. And like this is just the adventure you're having. Your style is your style. But I think we find each other and we help each other find each other and become each other. And the catch is, like it requires everybody being authentic to themselves to help you find your authentic self in your jiu-jitsu journey.
Isn't it intriguing how this martial art, sport, activity, hobby, whatever we categorize it, that it's just supposed to be a thing that we do. Many sign up for it to be part of community or maybe lose weight or learn something new. And yet it turns into this lifestyle. I mean, it turns into something so big and so deeply rooted in us after these years being on the mat. And now you're talking about you couldn't be who you are without all these people, hundreds if not thousands of people who crossed your path and contribute in some even little way.
Yeah.
Isn't it just mind-blowing how the silly thing that we do turns into this enormous thing that it's deeply rooted into us?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it's like telling about life too. Like I think like not outside of jiu-jitsu, it's all like this too, but you can feel it more and pick it apart more inside jiu-jitsu because you can kind of compartmentalize what's going on and see more clearly what's going on.
So clearly there's a point of success with your journey. You not perfect, but you chasing it. You have changed careers, retired from military, and now you have even achieved a PhD. As you go through these different chapters of life, would you compare the PhD chapter, that journey, to black belt journey in a similar ways? Are they close to each other as far as what was happening mentally in your mind? I mean, both of them are tremendous achievements.
Yeah. I think there are similarities, like when we're talking about the stubbornness, I think both can show you that if you want to achieve something and really understand something and go far with something, you do need to be like kind of stubborn in order to, let yourself be patient to fail and return and try again and have people tell you that chapter, like, I know you think it's great, but just get rid of it. Just wasted effort. Like to be able to like accept, like spent all this time on this thing and like no one's even going to see it and just throw it out the door and to keep coming back to try to do things right, to do things better to a certain standard. I think they parallel because of those qualities that you could just summarize it as stubbornness, right? Because I do think like under the stubbornness, there is the patience. Like you can't be stubborn if you're not patient. You wouldn't be stubborn then. You would not keep coming back or insisting on something happening, And I think there's also like the qualities of like looking at what isn't yet and knowing what could be. Like something that doesn't exist yet, but you want it to exist because you can see it existing within again.
Hold on, say that again. Hold on. Knowing,
like knowing that something could exist outside of you that doesn't exist outside of you yet, but inside you sense that it could be, and you choose to keep coming back, working on this thing until it presents itself, in the outer visible world, right? Because the PhD is essentially like, it is something that doesn't exist yet, literally in physical form, but also like in ideas. Because a part of the reason people don't jump on getting PhDs is when they find out that you need to pick a question that somebody hasn't asked yet, or to the best of your knowledge, no one can see that's been asked yet. And then with that comes with a unique answer that doesn't exist yet also to a unique problem. So to be able to, kind of make something out of nothing, take something that doesn't exist yet and like find it, make it exist. And I think it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu, you know, and in a way, that's what I'm like saying too. Like there's a certain me that's doing jiu-jitsu in my mind that I can feel and I can sense. And it's like a potential of like a better version of Rachel on the mat in a competition. And it's not there yet, but I know it's there because I feel it in here. And I'm going to keep massaging it, figuring out how to get it out until it presents itself. Will that be the finish line? No, right? Because we talked like there's always more potentials. If you can get to one place, you'll always be able to get to another place after that. And what it looks like, it could be anything, right? Like, let's say you cross your initial finish line of some tournament you just wanted to place in. Well, okay, well, now you can make a new goal. Maybe the goal is to never get third place, always get first or second. Or maybe you change, like you don't do IBJJF, you're changing to, you know, it's a different format of competing. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe you want to work on just getting more volume with classes or something like that. There's always a goal that would be a higher version of you that you can aim for if you want to.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a simple yet complex process. It requires a lot of effort. And often, I think a simple thought like this really could change a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If we took the time and really thought about it instead of just
Yeah.
coexisting from day to day.
But I think like a part of it too is like sometimes I think I hate to use the cliche word like limitations, but like if you take the time to sort of unearth like what your beliefs are about what you're allowed to do or what you're not allowed to do, you can find limiting factors that maybe are making you like write off the possibility of even trying something, right? So it would stop you from even like trying to figure out how to do something.
But would you consider the reasonings are true reasonings, or these are just excuses that we build in our minds? I mean, we know plenty of people who do have limitations, actual limitations, in whatever, mental or physical, and yet they achieve things that nobody thought about, or they were not even on horizon, right? So like, with that being said, are all these things just excuses?
In a way, yes. But I feel like, again, with the like things that are uniquely meaningful to you, not everybody is gonna like want to, right? Like, do I think that people could like always reach new heights and like find really interesting and like loopholed ways that like we just didn't see how to get something done in a different way? Yeah, I think we could all do that, but I think it needs to be done in towards the things that you actually feel, you know, driven towards with curiosity, that you'd want to be stubborn about, right? Like, not that it's an easy time, but there are things that we all like, we don't mind being stubborn about because we actually give a shit about. And those are the things like you need to go after. So would it always be jiu-jitsu? No, but could we all? I think so.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about the simple fact of what would happen or where you would be if you didn't step your foot into the MMA gym? Like, what would your life look like? Or even like if you said, screw this, I'm not driving 2 hours.
Yeah.
And just, you didn't. Have you ever thought where you would be?
I think it would eventually come back to haunt me and I would have to do it.
You think
like,
so?
I think so. Like,
so it was that present on your mind. It was that visible that this has to happen. There's no way around it. It's now or later, but it's happening.
Yeah, I can sit back and like try and ignore it, but like you feel called to fight, you're gonna feel called to fight, and you're gonna need to. Yeah, maybe I would end up with like Taekwondo pads on me all over again. Like I don't know, but it's gonna go that direction in one way or the other, because I think it's just a party of fighters got to fight, and they're gonna like
you're just feisty. That's what it is. What a phenomenal conversation. Did you notice that we've been at this for an hour?
That's crazy. It doesn't feel like
I know,
it.
right? I just looked up at the clock. Time flies when you're having a good conversation. So with all of this being said, chasing perfection, knowing that achieving it is not realistic, improving every single day, being stubborn in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
and the perseverance of overcoming obstacles is very in the very forefront of your mind constantly. What's next? What's next? I mean, you've achieved so. Look, like I'm looking at, like, as I was getting ready for this conversation, I was reading up about you and trying to learn who you are before we start this episode, and I feel like, and correct me how, actually I want to know how you feel about this, but I feel like you've accomplished so far in your life more than most people have accomplished in their entire life.
No, it
And
doesn't
you are,
feel that way. It doesn't
well,
feel that way.
how many people have black belts in
In
the entire
jiu-jitsu
world?
world, a lot.
Well,
All
but
the
I'm talking,
population, no.
well, exactly. That's my point,
Mhm.
right? So by definition of that, you're already minority, right? How many females achieve black belt?
Mhm.
Even less.
I feel you. I feel you.
How many people achieve PhD?
Mhm.
How many females? And I don't know anything about that. I'm just throwing questions here.
Yeah.
But how many females achieve
I
PhD?
think it's like maybe less than 1%.
Exactly my point.
Mhm.
Many will never, ever get to this, and you are
Mhm.
just halfway into your life.
Yeah.
What is next?
Well, right now, what I'm trying to do is, like, all the talk about meaning and following things that are meaningful to you, and, like, taking yourself up on your own offer, basically, and looking at the things that limit you from exploring your own potentials that you actually want to explore. If you got rid of all the excuses and the I can'ts and you just got really honest with yourself, with that in mind, like, a part of the reason that we moved to San Diego and to Atos is because, like, it's not only that I wrote about this in my PhD and that I'm saying this, like, brings about well-being, like, this is good for the soul and the human being, and, like, embodying, like, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, um Imago Dei, like the image of God that is you. um if I'm gonna write that and say this is truth, and, like, it's gonna pass through the whole PhD process, and they're like, oh yes, this is very logical, this all makes sense, we agree. If I'm gonna do that, I don't want to be somebody, another philosopher or something like that, that goes and teaches, like, classes in academia and goes, this is what I've found, this is what I've written, and, like, you're just teaching stuff. For me, I need to make sure that that's true, and I need to do it for myself. So me doing it for myself, back to what's meaningful to me, has always been, the fight, and specifically, like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now, right? And, like, breaching these limits of, like, how far can I go if I'm 41? Can I get to the podium at an adult major? I don't know, but for sure, like, I'm gonna try, and for sure in the trying, I'm gonna see if all the things that I wrote about are, like, actually happening, and I am growing in well-being, and this is making my life better. I just don't want to, like, say things like, tell you to go follow your heart, tell you to do the things that are meaningful to you, and then it's like, well, what do you have to show for it other than writing books about that and just teaching people? Like, show me what it did to a life. So, for me, I'm taking my philosophy that I call truth, and I need to go walk it for myself to see what's true and what's not true. If something's not right inside of that, I'm gonna live it. And I'll be like, oh, that is a little wonky, that thought I had. Or we need to alter that. It's not true. I have no right to tell people to do things that I have not done myself, especially calling things like truth and saying this is going to help your life. Like, I just think it's too bullshitty if the only thing you have to show is, like, writing books and, like, telling people how to do this, and it started from an idea you had, but you didn't really throw it through the grinder with yourself. And if anybody wants to walk that journey with me in jiu-jitsu, and you're older and you want to, like, put the pedal to the metal and, like, figure out how to do these things, like, they can come along with me. I'll be doing it. But that is the goal right now. Now, the highest goal for this, I have a little name for this. I'm calling it Operation Flowers, because you know how you get the flowers when you get on a major at the adult division.
Mm-hmm.
So the highest goal for now, is just to get the flowers. Operation Flowers. So, in sumo wrestling time frame, they say if you become a professional sumo wrestler, it takes you about 5 years to get used to, doing things with professionals to up the skill level. So I give myself like 5 years to start like really feeling it, and doing things properly, fixing imbalances in me that, create back pulls, muscle sprains, like all those things. Do things the right way. And then, Amanda Magda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's my spirit animal. She's like, 47? She gets the flowers. She gets the flowers. So, it can be done. There's people out there doing it. And that's what I'm doing now. Operation Flowers, Amanda Magda, spirit animal.
Who inspires you?
Amanda Magda. And you know what? You cannot go wrong with Bruce Lee.
Oh.
You cannot go wrong.
I wish I found that out a little earlier in this conversation, because that would really... What's so intriguing about Bruce Lee?
His focus. He's very focused on what he wanted to do. And I think it generated a lot of self-belief where you can tune out what the rest of the world is doing, because you sense that thing inside of you that you can bring to life and present to the public so they can see it too. And, he crafted something fantastic with himself and his martial arts, and, showed a different form of things to people where it didn't exist yet. Shook some things up, and I think that's it's really excellent of him with his focus. Just focus pocus.
That's deep. Listen, like I mentioned, slowly we gotta start wrapping this up. But before we do so, that's a lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
That you have ahead of you. At least what you are describing. That's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of discovery. That's a good.
And discomfort too. Let me tell you.
Is it?
Especially at Atos. Oh yeah. Imagine you're used to like winning with the females at your gym because you're like the only female black belt, right? And then like imagine you take yourself to the competition class at Atos, and then
was
imagine
that hard? Was that difficult?
Oh yeah, psychologically, yes. Like I knew this was gonna happen too, but like it's like it's disorienting when like tiny blue belts just wrap you up minute after minute. Like it shows you all the gaps that there are. Yeah, and now you need to keep exposing yourself to this so you can, see what's wrong, fix it, and rise.
I feel like that exposing part, I feel like this is where many make an error to themselves or disjustice to themselves, not exposing themselves and not as a definition of it, not working on those loopholes that we all have. Rachel, if anybody wants to connect with you, if anybody wants to, ask you questions as a follow-up to this conversation, or perhaps, other things that you do in life, where can you be found? Where social media, websites?
I got an Instagram. It's going to be Pipoca, BJJ, PIPOCA _ BJJ _ I'll be in a flower field going like this. Yeah. Let's keep it simple. Yeah.
I will make sure that the link is in the description of this episode. So guys, if you like to connect with Rachel, ask questions, and dip a little bit deeper on her journey and what she's done on and off the mats, there is so much beautiful stuff that she's doing. I encourage you to reach out to her via the Instagram and begin that conversation. Rachel, thank you for being here. Thank you for this sharing your vulnerable journey and this beautiful life that you have built. And I learned today that being stubborn is okay. And without being stubborn, we really cutting ourselves short. And it's okay to embrace that. And it's okay to chase the dreams, and it's okay to chase the goals that we have. So I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you, everything that you do. And, keep on.
Thanks, pushing. Man. I'll be here.
Be as stubborn as you are, because that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
let's wrap this up for today. Rachel, thanks for being here, and we'll see you around.
All right.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.